Doug Rye, licensed architect, nationally known energy consultant, host of the popular Home Remedies radio program, the Doctor of Efficiency, sometimes called the King of Caulk and Talk.
Hello, I'm Ron Sherman. I want to talk to you about my good friend Doug Rye, who has got to be the best known residential energy consultant in America. Now, I talked to Doug a few years ago. In fact, I first met him after I'd heard him on the radio, and I said, this man makes sense. And when we produced the first tape, Doug Rye's tape on how to build a new home and make it the most energy efficient you can possibly make it, I was sold on Doug Rye. His knowledge, plus the tape was enjoyable. We thank you for those nice comments. Now, a lot of people said, hey, I've got an existing home. I like what Doug Rye says. How can I make my home more energy efficient? Well, we can do it now. We've got Doug Rye ready to make a new tape, and we're starting it right now. Doug, good to see you.
Thank you, Ron. And boy, I enjoyed it, and thanks again to all of you folks, too, for ordering that tape. But see, as we do the seminars around the country and as we do radio, the people say, wait, just like you said, I'm not building a new house. My house where I live now, it has high utility bills, or it's cold, it's uncomfortable, the situation. So we're now ready to help you on your existing house, and thank you for your help.
I tell you what, a lot of people have said we enjoyed the first tape, but it was on new homes.
Yes.
And now we talk about existing homes. And when I was a kid, I think we even called it the REA. We didn't worry about those electric bills that
Penny
much.
and a half. Yeah, electricity, got a $14 electric bill, who cares,
yeah,
right?
It wasn't a big item, but
Right.
now it certainly can be.
Right, and that's how I got into all this, Ron, was back during the oil embargo of the 70s, when the cost of energy was going sky high and people were having this situation. Their electric bills were actually 2 to 3 times what their house payment was in some cases. So I started trying to learn how do you help people build the houses energy efficient. Then that came into people saying, well, yeah, but again, I already live in a house, I'm not going to build one. So I started looking for ways to help people in existing houses have these lower utilities. And here's another thing, Ron. Low utilities and comfort always go hand in hand.
Sounds good to me.
I'll quote one of my friends who says, I never met a man who had low utilities that didn't have a comfortable house, and vice versa.
Right,
okay,
right.
It's just how it is. It goes together just like that. So we're going now, folks. But if you have high utility bills, or say high electric bills, for example, it's not always because of your heating and cooling or the way your house was built. Remember things like this, Ron, and you live in an area I know that has swimming pools. A swimming pool pump running 24 hours a day, $75 to $100 worth of electricity every month of your life, see?
Now, is that, well, even when you cut it off in the winter season?
Well, no, I'm saying if it's running 24 hours a day, it's costing you $100, about $100 a month, okay? Then you've got water bed heaters. Those are about $13 a month. Think of that. Very few people know that, but all these things add up. Old freezers and old refrigerators that you've got out there in the garage or carport and the building out back, they use tremendous sums. HVAC equipment, your house is 20 years old, still has the same heating and cooling system it had to begin with, probably operating at about 40% energy efficiency. Well, cooling your house, maybe. Heating your house, maybe. Using lots of electricity, yes, yes, and yes. You see how it works? So that's how it is. Water heater, location of your water heater.
Now, you have convinced me from the first tape that water heater plays a big part.
All right, in the house where you live now, where is it located? Is it inside the house? That's the best place, by the way.
Yeah.
What's it doing to your house in the summertime? Heating your house.
You know, I didn't think about that, but if it's heating, if it's getting that water, when I turn the tap on, it can burn my finger after a few
Yeah,
minutes.
it's heating your house, so your air conditioner's coming on in the summertime to cool it, so your electric meter's spinning. So if it's located in your garage or storage room outside, what's it doing in the wintertime? Heating the whole neighborhood, you see. So one of the things we teach is spend $10 one time for a water heater blanket. Okay, wrap your water heater, take you about 10 minutes, and keep the heat in your tank. Spend $10 once, save $1 or $2 or $3 every month of your life. What a great investment. And everything we teach is a great investment. So we're going to do existing houses for you today. And I again appreciate you folks, everybody who has in fact gone to the new house video and requested the existing house video. Let me make one statement here before we move on, okay?
Okay.
If you're going to buy a new house, or if you're going to buy an existing house, either one, you ask your mortgage company, you ask your banker about an energy efficient mortgage first thing. They're not going to tell you about it, okay? You ask about it because it'll give you the opportunity to get your house fixed up, energy efficient, before you ever move in, okay? And it'll only cost you a few dollars a month to do it that way rather than having to spend a whole ton on it later. So don't forget, energy efficient mortgage.
All right, Doug. Now, a lot of folks out there said, with my existing home after they go through a cold winter, hot summer, tell me what I can do to my home to make it more energy efficient.
Going to do it.
In the next segment, stay with us. Now we're ready to show you how we can make your home more energy efficient with Doug Rye. And the first thing, a lot of folks will say, well, it won't help my house. My house is different.
Right. I do live radio every Saturday morning, and
I know.
I can almost, now I don't do this, folks, but I can almost kick back in there and drink coffee, take my shoes off if I want to, because the questions you ask are almost the same every time in many ways. Nearly every house in America has the problems we're going to show you today, and we're going to show you how to repair those things today. Yes, I can help your house too.
All right. Well, see, I thought my house was different.
Okay, let's start on this. Now, we came to a water heater about wrapping it. I've never met a house that didn't need a $10 blanket on their water heater. It's going to save you, spend $10 and save several dollars, or at least $1 a month every month of your life. And while you're doing that, wrap your hot water pipes if you can get to them. This is just real simple, Ron, pipe insulation. Already has a slit in it.
Just
you buy it in 5-foot lengths. Yeah, that's all there is to it. It must say in the Bible somewhere, locate water heater at the furthest point from usage. How long does it take you to get hot water in the morning when you get ready to shave?
Oh, in the wintertime, forever.
Right? Isn't that something? Up north, when I was up there recently, cold, okay? But you turn that on, you go da-da-da-da-da, you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. Well, if you'll insulate your pipes, insulate your hot water pipes, it'll solve a lot of your problems, and it will save you energy, so do that if you can reach your pipes. And, of course, new houses, we say do it when you're building a house. It's that simple, okay? But let's go on now, because let's just really get into the meat of this thing.
All right.
The call comes every day. On the radio show, it comes every Saturday morning. The people say, I've got a certain problem on my house, usually relating either to comfort or to utility cost. My answer is always this, Ron. You need to have a blower door test on your house. A blower door test where we come to your home, or the people that we train do this, have a fan that goes in your front door with instrumentation. We try to suck all the air out of your house. Okay? We measure and we can tell how many problems you have in your house from air coming through your house. Now let me show you some things here, folks. This is pretty amazing if you've never heard it before, okay? If you took all the places, Ron, in your house where air comes in on a cold winter day.
And some places, I think of windows and doors, but I'm sure there's
they're
other
everywhere.
places.
Yeah,
Okay,
all kinds of things. And that's what the blower door shows you where these are. But if you took all the places in your house, put them all in one hole, you've got 1 or 2 doors standing open on your house year-round.
It would equal the size of 2 doors open.
Right.
Wow.
So how comfortable would your house be? Now, I happen to know where you live, and I know the size of your house. If we tested your house, you probably have the equivalency of like those 2 French doors
Almost
back there.
a garage
open on
door,
That's
huh?
about right, okay? If you put them all together. So
Okay.
now that's called air infiltration.
Air infiltration. I learned that from the other tape.
Infiltration.
All right.
You remember that? Okay, the 3 most important: air infiltration, air infiltration, air infiltration.
Right.
Close the door is what we're talking about on the house. Literally close the door. And we're going to show how to do that on your house. But here's what it amounts to, Ron. On the average house, 35% of the entire heating and cooling load on your house, could be way worse, by the way, but at least 35% is because of air infiltration.
Those open doors.
That's right. And the blower door test is the way to find out where those places are and how serious they are, and we'll show you how to fix those as we show you the films on that. In fact, you can look here and you can see the blower door test on our film right here, what it looks like as we're running the fan.
How long does it take?
Oh, to test a house of your size is going to take about 3 hours.
But it's well worth it.
Oh, yeah, and takes the guesswork out too. Okay, and another thing, we teach, and we're just concerned about safety on your house as we are utilities, okay?
Right.
And one caution I want to give the folks right now on this video is this. You really need to have a professional do the blower door test on your house and teach you about pressure testing on your house, particularly if you have a fossil fuel furnace or appliances in your house. Natural gas or butane or like that.
I was going to ask, you mean gas?
Yeah, gas, okay? Because you could, now please hear me this, folks, you could find problems on your house and fix those problems and actually make your house dangerous from carbon monoxide if you fix the wrong places in the house. If your house is all electric, fix it, don't worry about it, okay, because there's no carbon monoxide anyway then, except maybe a little in your fireplace or like that, you see. But that's right. For example,
okay,
the little house here, we sometimes spend hours on this. We won't hear, but just to warn you, the heating and cooling system is running as we speak. Notice the little doors on the house, okay, they're barely wiggling right now, so you can see there's air going through the house. Supply and return, supply and return. Watch what happens, though. Let's suppose, okay, I have leakage in the supply ductwork.
Now this would be like heating and air ductwork?
Heating and air ductwork in your attic or in your basement or your crawl space.
So it's pushing in. What does that mean?
The leakage made the house go negative pressure.
All right.
if I have gas appliances in my house, I might be backdrafting my gas appliance and my flues because of leakage in the supply. So I'll say this to you. If you have leakage in your supply ductwork, it's perfectly safe to repair that every time. Every time. Make your house better, make it tighter. Look, seal up the ductwork. Look how much less heating and cooling my house uses, and look how much more comfortable it is. But it's not negative pressure now, so I'm not backdrafting my gas flues. You see what I'm saying? Or my fireplace.
We're not at a danger point
Not
now.
danger there, but now watch this. Let's suppose I have, and most houses have this problem, leakage in the return air. You see this? In fact, look at our film here, and you'll see leakage under this house in the return air. Watch it sucking the smoke right into the return air here. So this particular house, and nearly every house has this problem, is mixing air from under the house in with my conditioned air. One reason a lot of people have mold and mildew sinus problems, okay, is because what you see there. But now look, my house now went positive pressure, right? I can't get this little door to work quite right, but it went positive pressure.
The doors are pushing out.
But it's not sucking any carbon monoxide in here, it's actually pushing it out. Well, what if I go and repair the return ductwork? I may make it come back and actually go more negative, see? So you got to know what you're doing, have a professional help you. Return air from room to room to room. Look here. Watch what happens on the house when I just close the bedroom door. Watch closely. Watch closely. Pow! All I did is close your bedroom door. Yeah, your bedroom just went big time negative pressure. Your living room down here went big time positive pressure. You see that? If you've got gas appliances on this end of the house, if you don't have sufficient return air from the rooms and so on, you may have just presented you a problem. And I mean, it's my opinion, many people in America are sick in the wintertime because of this very problem that I show you right here.
Now, will the blower testing...
People who know what to do are going to show you this and test those and cheat these doors and say, whoo, we got major problems from this room to this room to this room, you see. Okay, so that's my caution to you. It's impossible for us on this video to cover every possible situation.
I understand, but at least we made them aware of that possible danger.
That's right. Have someone that's been trained to pressure test houses so that they know, in fact, so when you get through your house, it's energy efficient, it's comfortable, and there's no carbon monoxide problems. And I'll tell you this too, Ron. We got just a little bit. That's a little bitty carbon monoxide deal here that people give away sometimes that you can put up in your house. And if you do have carbon monoxide in the house, sometimes that little dot turns black. Well, that scares me a little bit because I think if the dot's already black, you may already be sick or gone, you see. Okay, so I tell people this. I recommend if you have natural gas or propane in your house, please, please, please get at least one carbon monoxide detector in your house, preferably one with an alarm on it. Many houses need 2 or 3. You're going to be amazed how many people in America over these next few years are going to say, mine went, had a call the other day, Ron, honest truth. They said, we got one for Christmas last year. Hadn't had time to install it, laid it on the piano. My wife and I go to bed last night, and halfway through the night, this thing goes off, the alarm goes off on our piano. It hadn't even hung it on the wall yet, but it had the battery in it.
Potential to save their life.
It did. In fact, they could have been dead by morning had that alarm not gone off. And story after story. So please, please be careful. Let's go on, though. We've given our caution. That's what I want to do with this, is tell you, know what you're doing on this. We're going to stop air infiltration. Let's talk about how we're going to do that, where you find those problems in your house, and how you fix them. We're going to do them all together, so this video is not 5 hours long. Okay. Okay. Ron, do you ever, now you've just moved in one house, but in your other house, do you ever in the wintertime feel cold air coming in around your electrical receptacles? You ever heard your wife talk about cold air?
I have. I mean, I think every house I've ever been in, you'll feel that.
Practically
different
100%
degrees of it,
have it.
right? Yeah.
And now look here, Ron. Every electrical receptacle, when the wind's blowing outside in the wintertime, it's just a little bit of air, just a little bit.
But it's steady.
But you got 100 of them in your house. So this times 100 is this.
Yeah.
You agree?
I got you.
Sometimes you're standing in the middle of your house in the wintertime, and your wife says, Ron, honey, it's cold out there today. Turn that heat up.
We crank it up.
Turn it
all
up.
the way to 80, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And see, you're telling that. Most people in America relate to that very thing. How would you know it's cold inside your house? How would you know it's cold outside when you're standing in the middle of your house? Air infiltration.
Okay, because I'm feeling that cold air come in my home.
So what can you do, okay? Let's look here. First of all, electrical outlets and switches. Here's
right.
film on that, actually on a job, and you can see right here for a fact, air, look at that. See the smoke pencil? Look at the air coming in through that electrical receptacle right there.
It's amazing.
Okay? Now think how many of those you got in your house on a cold winter day. Imagine that. How do you fix it? We're going to show you how right here. Take the plate off.
Take the plate off the electrical socket?
I always recommend you turn electricity off if you're
I'm glad you
with
told
that,
me,
although it
because
doesn't bother me,
all
but
right.
you should do that, okay? And you simply take these gaskets, put the gaskets on there, put the plate back on. Isn't that neat?
Pretty simple.
Put childproof covers in these little plugs right here. Now look, no air coming through them at all. So if you got 100 of those in your house, you just solved a problem in your house 100 times. Isn't that neat?
That little push of air 100 times adds up. We
That's
stopped
right.
that. Right.
So all of a sudden, your house is more comfortable and your utility bills are less.
We just don't think
people
about
love
that.
me.
But you know, just like I said, every house I've ever been in, we had those problems.
That's
but
right.
you don't think about doing that little thing to stop little problems make a big problem.
Right, when you build that new house, you can prevent all that from happening right at the beginning. Remember, with cellulose insulation and caulking, remember? Caulking,
remember.
caulking, caulking.
You're the king of caulk. I remember that.
King of caulk and talk.
King, that's right, king of caulk
Caulk
and talk.
and
Of course,
talk,
now, you
that's
know,
my nickname.
we won't get into it long, but
Okay.
how many radio stations? You're on a bunch of them.
At least 25 stations as we
that's right.
speak now.
And then a
okay, and the
TV
TV
show.
series
Right.
called Home Remedies, which I
Right.
love to
Very
do.
good show.
I just love to help people, and that's what we're trying to do here is help you
And you know,
on
if
your
you
house.
spread the right word, it does grow, and you've done a wonderful job. And I'm
Well,
not trying to brag on you, but it really
Flattery
has
will
helped a
get
lot
you
of
everywhere.
helped a
Okay.
lot of
I
folks
do
out.
love to help people, make no doubt about that. And I get imagine having a job where you help people and get paid too. That's really you look forward to that every day. Okay.
Heck of a deal.
Okay, so electrical outlets and switches we took care of. Now here's one, Ron. Most of the people watching this will relate to this. Go to your kitchen cabinet where your sink is, or to your bathroom vanity. Open the door and look at the big hole in the wall where the plumbing pipe comes through.
Sometimes you can see the light.
Same place the mouses come in.
In the fall of the year, I mean.
I remember I went to one and there was a steel wool stuffed in it, and I thought, now what's this for? And the man said, Grandma taught me a long time ago, mice can't eat through that steel wool. Okay, so but cold air, same place they freeze in the winter. The plumbers, I shouldn't say this, but half the time on a new house, the plumbers rip the insulation out of the wall when they try and do all that piping in the wall there. It's in their way. Same place the pipes freeze, you notice, okay? Isn't it simple? Watch. All you've got to do is get some good foam caulking, and there's lots of different kinds made, okay? You take that and you put that in here. We'll show you right here on the video. Go to there, go to the big hole under there, and start filling it up with foam. And Ron, sometimes it may take a whole can of foam because that whole wall has no insulation, so it's going to fill it up. And that's fine if it does. And sometimes it's going to take a little bit of foam, but look, all of a sudden now it stops the air from coming in. And see, houses are always under either positive or negative pressure if the wind's blowing outside or if your heating and cooling system is running. So air is being sucked into the house or blowing out of the house nearly every day of your life except a nice spring day and a nice fall day, you see.
Which are perfect conditions, but we don't have those
But we
most
open
of
the windows
time.
on those days,
Right,
see, and
right.
enjoy it. See, so that's right. So that's the situation on that. So you get the foam caulking, and you go to those places we talked about there, plumbing penetration. Here's one here. Let's go to the room here in this closet where the heating and air unit is run.
Those
Now,
always look a little bit rough.
well, if you get to looking in there, it's hard to finish that room because it's so tight anyway. But look at all these holes in here, and look how, in fact, the air is coming into this house. See it? Look at the smoke pencil here.
That's a bunch of them.
That's a bunch of it, isn't it? Take the foam, same thing, fill those places up, and see, Ron, the things I'm telling you to do here or show you on your house, 1 or 2 Saturdays on your house working hard, and you can fix all these things. Isn't that neat?
Make a world of difference.
Okay, so that's a plumbing penetration. So we're already moving right down our line on this situation. Call I get all the time. I heard you mention this once. You mentioned just a while ago. Cold air coming around my windows.
Oh, you can just...
The curtains blow.
Yeah, just stand out.
Wait, why would the curtains be,
Yeah,
why
that's
would the
all right.
curtains be blowing when the wind's blowing outside? That's supposed to be a good tight fit, et cetera, right?
Air infiltration.
Supposed to be, is the
Yeah.
right answer. If they'd have caulked all the places they need to caulk when they're building the house, that wouldn't happen. But you've got all the framing around there, you've got all the cracks, the way for the air to get around the doors and windows and behind the wood siding and all these things. And if pressure difference on your house, here it comes, in and out. You simply use, we call it siliconized caulking, okay?
What is it
Regular
called?
caulking. And I always use clear, several companies make this, so it's no big deal on that. Try to buy it when it's on sale if you're going to buy it by the cases like we do. Use a small bead, and the blower door test, of course, finds these places. If you've got that happening on your house, the blower door running, you can find it, caulk it then, and know the situation. But use siliconized caulking, clear, so that it dries clear and you can't ever tell where you've done it, and caulk around your windows where this air is coming in.
Now, a lot of people are going to say, Doug, now how often, husband's thinking, I want to go fishing, I want to go see the grandkids, how often would I have to do this to my house?
Probably just once in your life.
Okay. So
Yeah,
it's not,
probably
it's
just
not
one.
one of these like every year type
No,
things.
no. That caulking will last inside the house probably 100 years.
All right.
Okay, so you got to determine though where the air's coming in and caulk all those little cracks. Many times, Ron, it's right at the seal of the window where it's going up and touching the framing, and through the years that shrinks a little, and the cold air, same place the water's running in on a cold winter day. Sometimes if you just caulk that little joint there, it in fact will solve those problems. We can go for hours on all this, but let's move on, okay?
All right, I'm ready.
Another one that you're going to recognize. I wish I had $1 for every door on a house I've seen where you walk inside and you can see air and light around the door.
And I think we should put a penalty on the carpenter who cuts that door just a tad short
Well,
sometimes.
it's not always his,
Okay.
because sometimes the house shifts a little.
All right, all right.
And the doors, wood doors particularly, change every day of your life. Humidity changes, they warp this way. Humidity changes, they warp this way. It's really hard, but these doors where the wind's coming in, you simply get the bubble weather stripping at your hardware store, at your home center. That's all there is to that. Go outside the house, push the weather stripping up against the door tight, tack it in place, and that's all there is to it, you see? And this is something that you might have to do once every couple of 3 years. You may have to just adjust it a little bit as the door changes or the house shifts a little bit, but that's a tremendous amount of air too. I could talk a long time about doors, but they're all different, okay, and it's hard to, in fact, show you one that solves all those problems.
What you call that, the bubble?
I prefer the metal with a little vinyl bubble on it, so you can slide it right up against the door on that, okay? That's how it works, and you can see it here on our film, okay?
What's next?
Next, recessed can lights.
Recessed, but they look so nice.
Architects
Recessed can
love
lights.
them,
Yeah.
builders love them. They are pretty.
My wife loves them.
I understand. I do too. They're beautiful. The recessed lights up in there that light your
Oh,
fireplace or on your
Like,
paintings.
how
or,
did they think to do that?
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah.
I'm an architect. I like them too.
Yeah.
But, okay, most houses today with their recessed can lights have the lights in there that are not what's called IC rated, insulated cover rating. They are in fact El Cheapo. They are in fact say inside of them, if you read in them, do not insulate over this unit.
So there's some space between the recessed
There's
light.
all kinds of holes in them,
Right, okay.
and since you can't insulate on them because it may start a fire, okay, with that old hot bulb in it, you have to keep the insulation away from it about 2 inches all the way around. Now because, and this is an IC one here, but because the others have so many holes in them, listen Ron, listen at this, turn my page for me
You
there.
got it,
Ready?
you got it.
Typically 3 to 10 cubic feet a minute of air is going up into your attic through every recessed light in your house.
Not this type, but the
The regular
cheaper
ones,
type,
it's
yeah.
in most houses, okay?
Right.
3 to 10. Let's go in a house and the house has 10, 15, 20.
Wow.
What if it has 20 and it has the major problem? That's
talking-
200 CFM, which is a half ton of cooling.
That you're
That's just
shooting
going right
out.
up through the... I tell ladies, don't use hair dryers anymore. Just crawl up in your attic and put your hair over the recessed light. It'll dry it free. I'm terrible, aren't I? Okay, but that's right. You're talking big time, okay? What's the answer? The best answer is to replace those, which is hard to do once it's built, with an IC rated can that has no holes in it, and it's insulated, and then you just insulate on top of it and forget it, okay? The other thing you can do is this, and we've done this many times. Be very careful. You can actually take the bulb out and go inside these cans and actually caulk, and this takes about 15 minutes per can to do it. You can take this caulking, silicone or siliconized caulking, caulk all the holes, but now listen, you've got to be real careful here. You cannot put those hot bulbs, regular hot bulbs, back in them. You
All right.
need to use and go to your hardware store and get a compact fluorescent bulb, which looks like the others, but puts almost no heat on it at all. And then we always put a sticker inside, then a red sticker that
To
says,
remind if somebody bought the house after
that's
you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, be
That's
sure
what I
to
was
use
thinking.
low heat bulbs here, because it could start a fire, you see, if you can put those hot bulbs back in it. The new ones, like this, have a sensor in them, and it's so well insulated, you can put the hot bulb in here and insulate right on top of it, and it doesn't matter, because it's not, the lights won't blink and it won't get too hot anyway, so that's the way that works. Recessed can lights are major, I repeat, major air infiltration problems on houses. Sometimes they're easy to fix, sometimes they're not. Another little solution we've done many times. If you can get to those lights,
Right.
you can get you a collection of 5-gallon buckets, preferably metal, And you can go actually over that and put that metal bucket over it, poke a couple little holes in the top, let just a little bit of the air through it, okay?
This will be up in the ceiling.
Yeah, then insulate up against the bucket. Now that's a little bit of a problem, I understand, but it solves. Sometimes, Ron, when we go to a house, we find the biggest problem the house has is a whole bunch of recessed can lights, so that's why they freeze in the wintertime.
You know, you think of that being in the ceiling, you really don't think of that letting that much air go out.
Right, builder didn't tell you.
No.
Right? I've had people call me live on the radio before and say, water is dripping out of my light fixtures while we're talking right now in the wintertime.
Right.
The reason being, Ron, is this hot, warm, humid air in the house goes up through that light, hits that real cold surface up in there on a cold winter day, like a glass of iced tea.
Right.
Starts dripping down, you see. So that's another item. We can go for an hour or two on that one, but let's move on. Okay, let's move on.
You're the chief. Now, what else are we going to do?
Hate to do this one. Fireplaces.
Now, I don't talk about my fire. We've talked about this before. You got to have live a little dangerous there, Doug.
Well, don't use the word dangerous.
Okay.
There's more to life than saving energy, though.
Well, that's true.
But here's the situation, as I've taught you on the new construction. All fireplaces are energy wasters, period. We talk about how to make them more energy efficient, right? But listen to me. Almost every house we test with blower door has major leakage. I'm not talking about just down through the flue and where the damper's open. That's big hole.
Where else
right
are you
there.
talking about?
Oh, look at our film here.
All right.
All around here, any place where stone or brick meets the wood. Look at this. See the smoke pencil here? Look at the air coming in around this thing.
Would have never thought that
Never
much.
thought it, would you? I remember on this one, we spent better than an hour just caulking these little places around this fireplace here. But we stopped a tremendous amount of old cold winter air and hot summer air from coming into this room just by caulking around this fireplace.
Well, even your heat from the fireplaces, I guess, would escape.
Well, it's pitiful. We're
Yeah.
Ron, all fireplaces are energy wasters. I hate to tell you that, okay? And I love them in the wintertime. I love to sit by them. But the truth is, a fireplace can only help you in the wintertime when you got a fire burning. All the rest of the year, it's costing you energy, see? There's no exception to that. But caulk these places around your fireplace where the air's coming in. Here's the next one. You'll recognize this when everybody does. And most builders do this when they build a house, okay? The baseboard on the house.
As long as I don't have
down
to
on the
clean
floor.
them. As long as I don't have to clean them.
Yeah, but right where this wall sits on your concrete slab or down on your floor, okay? It's not even and smooth there, so a lot of air can come under there.
Right.
So
Yeah,
you want to
can really see it after houses settle
right,
sometimes.
exactly right. The first blower door test, Ron, that I ever saw, when we turned the blower door on, I heard a loud noise. I didn't know what it was. I said, stop it. We stopped. I said, turn it on slowly, and let's go see what that is. And when we turned it on, the carpet in the bedroom started flopping up and down on the floor.
Heard of that.
Flop, 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 just like that, okay?
Uh-huh.
It took 7 tubes of regular caulking like this to caulk under the sill plate because the slab had a big dip in it. Cold air has been coming under there for 100 years, right?
And they were complaining about the floors so cold.
I learned later that the family moved out of this house because they could not pay their bills in the wintertime. Wonder why? You see what I'm saying? So the baseboard down here, just take a little tube of this caulking, make a real small bead of it, clear again preferably, and just go all the way around your house and caulk that. Also keeps the ants out. Okay,
another good
so
reason.
Works on that. Let's move on because we'll have to do that to cover all the things.
A lot of good information, but at least we're touching on all the different points.
Okay, let's go here and look. Kitchen. Look at your kitchen cabinets and look up above here and you'll see a fur down on most kitchen cabinets right up above. If you'll go in your attic and look, and sometimes people tell me, man, my dishes in my cabinet are always freezing cold in the winter. The reason is because here's this fur down connected to the attic, no insulation or anything in it many times. It's just got all this cold air right there sitting right above your cabinets. So all these places where there's air infiltration coming into the cabinets, house is negative or positive pressure, and so you get up in there, in fact, caulk with your siliconized caulking up in your cabinets and the places where the cold air is coming down in there. Then a nice idea is, in fact, to go in your attic and put insulation, pour insulation in that cabinet fur down so that it stays toasty warm in your kitchen.
Otherwise, you just got the piece of board there.
Usually
like a cracker box.
Many times just a 1/4-inch piece of plywood,
yeah.
and it's not cut true on the ends, and it's just cold air coming in all the time. See, I mean, you
Didn't
folks
think of
never
that.
thought of that
I
or
would
heard
have
of that.
never thought of
We
that.
find it on almost every house that we check, okay? Yeah, look at this one. Some of you want to turn it off here. Attic fan or whole house fan, you call them.
But they feel so good at night. They're good sleeping with it.
Only when we were kids. You've
Oh,
never
okay.
used one since we was a kid, and you know it, right? Hardly anybody ever uses it, right? But it's the same thing as having a 30-inch square hole in your ceiling all the time.
Now, my aunt and uncle, older ones, still like that.
Well,
attic
a few people use them twice, not very often.
Oh,
I'll do
I
that. That's
know.
right. Exactly right. So that's the way that is. That thing is up there with a big old hole in that thing, cold air coming in the wintertime, hot air coming in the summertime out of your attic, and it's just a bad news. I'm going to show you right here how to fix it. Look at this. So here's a cover that, in fact, will go on, mounted from inside the house. You see it here? On that attic fan.
Gotcha.
Stops all that cold air, all that hot air from coming down through there, keeps that room more comfortable, the house more comfortable, keeps the thermostat from kicking the cooling and heating system on
Now
all the
you're
time.
talking.
Cost you a $100 bill, and here's the phone number to call. There's only one person in America that makes it, as far as I know, 501-666-0969. Cost you about $100 one time, saves you about $100 a year on your utility bill, and house more comfortable.
Incredible. When I first heard you talk about that, I thought, who needs a cover for the attic fan? But you do.
You do. You really do. People that have them know it's true, and it's real easy to use that one. If you want to use your fan, you just loosen it, use your fan, put it back up. It's a real simple thing to do. Do that one, I'll tell you for sure.
Where are we heading next?
Okay, let's go from there now to, can't cover much on this because don't have many pictures of it, and it's hard to do, but a lot of people that have the gas furnace in a closet in the house, a lot of times if you'll go in there and look, there's not even a ceiling in the room.
Just shoots right up in the attic.
You can see the rafters most of the time, or there's big pipes coming down there for combustion air, and they have to be there, okay, to give you the combustion air. One reason I don't use gas appliances too, by the way, it doesn't make much sense to caulk your house and then leave the ceiling out for burning, does it? Sorry I said that. Okay, but that's the situation. But if you can't close off that all that air in that closet, but here's what you can do: you can insulate or close the closet off from the house. See, weather strip the door.
Right.
Now, carbon monoxide can't get back in your house part, okay? And the heating and cooling, or the cold air that's in there, particularly in the wintertime, is not coming under your door, into your hall, and such as that. So you can actually seal off your gas closet, we'll call it there, okay? Let's go to the biggie. This is the big one. You knew it.
I knew
I'm
what
proud
you were
of you,
gonna talk
Ron.
about.
I'm proud. The biggest waster of energy in the southern United States, for sure, is ductwork leakage and location.
I had to learn it's with a T, D-U-C-T.
D-U-C-T. we kid about it a lot of times about leaky ducts, and we show a duct flying, and all this. But anyway, duct work location is important. Get it out of your attic if you can, but that's not feasible to move. Here's what is feasible. Make the duct work airtight. And to do that, the blower door will show how much leakage. And Ron, the average house, when we test it, has about 400 CFM, cubic feet a minute, of leakage in the ductwork. Let's see how much that is, okay? Right, 400 is an average house for us, 400 CFM. That's 1 ton of the cooling is because of all the leakage in the ductwork.
1 ton?
1 ton, okay? In Florida, one of the utility companies said something, I may not have this exactly right, but like 23% of the entire electrical generation of electricity in Florida is because of ductwork leakage. Okay? If they just fix all the ductwork, make it airtight. See, people use duct tape up there. Have you noticed that? Duct tape?
That's sticky stuff.
Temporary tape, we call it. Now, we've got it all over us here with our wires and everything,
That's just
but
don't use microphones.
don't use it on your duct work. Temporary tape. Crawl up in your attic and look, and you'll see it's been gone for years. Crystallizes, gone. Use duct mastic. Now, this is hard for you to fix. It's fine to fix it. If you just turn, you can do this. On your supply, it's safe to fix it. Remember, you can go up in your attic and just turn your fan unit on your heating and cooling system, and start at the unit itself, closest to the unit. Look at every joint in your ductwork and see how it's leaking. What some of you, 1 out of 3 of you, are going to find this. Your ductwork is totally disconnected in at least one spot on your house.
Just blowing right out.
You'll find that, Ron. I wish you'd go spend a month with me. You'd be amazed. 1 out of 3 houses is totally disconnected. Put it back together. Put it back together good. Use duct mastic, okay? Put it back together. Sometimes on little leaks, you can use the good silicone caulking. Do just as good on small leaks. Check every place where it's leaking air. Put it back together and save tremendous sums of money on your heating and cooling, and your house is more comfortable too. Why? You're getting all the heating and cooling you're paying for in your house now instead of going to your neighbor's yard.
That's where we want it.
And that's what you want, exactly right. Well, we can spend hours and hours and hours on that, but ductwork is the biggest waster of energy in the southern United States, and that's a fact. Look at this. I'll show you. We got film on both of these. Here's leakage in the ductwork, as you can see.
That
All you
happens a
do-
lot then.
Oh, it happens everywhere. 90%, really 99% of the houses we check have major leakage in ductwork. Isn't that pitiful? Even on the new houses, that's what breaks my heart.
That 23%
That's
you
what-
kept talking about, we're
breaks
just
my
wasting,
heart.
yeah.
Just breaks my heart, okay? And look here, here's another one. Let's go to, we call these the register boots. It's where the ductwork connects to the register itself. Look here in the video. Look at the leakage here. Now look at that. So that you can see that every time your heating and cooling is running, it's mixing hot or cold air in with your conditioned air. So your heating and cooling cost is higher, higher, higher. Well, Ron, we can go another 2 days. I do about a 2-day seminar on this.
I hate to stop you.
I know, but we can go for a long time on that, but that's how important these things are. Air infiltration, air infiltration, air infiltration. Do the blower door test on your house and start caulking and fixing all these places. Close the door. Your daddy used to say, close the door. Were you born in a barn? Remember that? And what he's really saying is, close that door so my heating doesn't come on as much and save me on my utilities and such that. So air infiltration, blower door test, caulk it, caulk it, caulk it, caulk it. Fix these places like that, and it's like closing a door or two on your house.
And the king of caulk and talk right here, Doug Rye. And energy, well, we call you a residential energy architect.
I am a licensed architect, yes.
Now, I guess one thing that I always drill you on, because we've had a lot of discussions about this, is insulation.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Everybody knows about insulation. That's the first thing you think of when you say about what can I do to make my house more energy efficient? It's insulation.
So you're going to talk about that?
Yep, that's next.
Coming up. Now to talk about insulation, our residential energy architect, Doug Rye.
That's me and Ron. Of course, people know what insulation is, and they ask all the time. They say, well, should I? The first thought that comes in most people's minds when they talk about comfort or they talk about energy usage on the house, they're going to think of insulation.
Right.
In many cases, it's not the most important, though. So they should always do what? Have that blower door test done first.
We were talking about that earlier.
Stop the all air, the air infiltration. Now let's talk about insulation.
And what areas do we worry about?
Well, let's just draw a little house up here.
All
This will be a little simple house. We'll make
Okay.
it. We'll make it
It's a
real
better
easy
house than
here.
I could draw.
There we go. Put a hole there, and make a bluebird, couldn't we? Okay. I like bluebirds, by the way. Okay, so look here. So we're talking about, first of all, we're talking about floor insulation. That's one thing we look at.
The
And we
floor.
talk about wall insulation, and we talk about ceiling insulation, okay, or rafter or whatever the room is be. So let's just take these three, and that covers them all fairly easily. And I have a few rule of thumbs that are real easy to go by to tell you. People say often, do I need more attic insulation?
Now, I want to ask, because when I was a kid, you and I been around for a few years, we didn't really worry much about insulation. There's got to be some houses 30 years old or older that just
There
don't
are
have
more
any
than
insulation.
you think that have zero. In fact, there was very little insulation used in houses before about 1965.
Okay.
Okay, so houses older than that, many of them have added insulation.
Right.
Okay, and so let's look here, and let's just do the little rule of thumbs. Let's go to the ceiling first, okay? And you go up in your attic and you look, and let's say you look and you've got 3 inches of insulation.
Enough?
No. Let's say you've got 5 inches insulation. No.
Warm?
Yeah, you're getting closer, okay?
Okay.
If you get 6, it's kind of where the line comes that you have to decide, do I really want to buy more or not? And my little rule of thumb is this. If you have 6 or below, yes,
There.
it's actually to your benefit to come add insulation in your attic. You already know this, I think, but I always use cellulose insulation. It's L-U-L-O-S-E. Okay, cellulose. I don't use any fiberglass insulation.
Now, on the first tape, the new home tape,
Yes.
this is existing homes, I
Yes.
had seen that. Kind of
You
looked like
remember.
oatmeal to me.
Well, it has about the ticket, but what it is in fact recycled, ground up paper.
Okay.
Okay, instead of sending the newspapers to the landfill, it's been around forever, by the way, but instead of sending, they grind it up and actually make insulation out of it. And the first thing that comes in your mind, will fire, okay? The truth is, Ron, it won't burn for 2 reasons. When you put it in, it has no air in it, so it can't burn.
All right.
And secondly is that the government requires it to be treated with boric acid, which happens to be also the same thing as in roach spray. So the houses we do don't have any roaches in the south either. It's a kind of a neat deal.
So this,
Yeah.
you're saying this is...
Cellulose
Okay.
is what I use
All
in
right.
every single case. In the wall, ceilings, and I'll explain all this to you. But let's say the attic for now, you go look and you have 6 inches. If you're going to stay in that house, okay, it's actually to your benefit to have 6 inches more. And I just say this, if you're going to add insulation, just bring it on up to about 12 inches of insulation
A
while
foot.
you're doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
If you'll do that, you're almost to the point now where of having no heat loss or heat gain through the ceiling in your house. That's about what it is. People ask this question every day of my life. I have 6 inches of fiberglass up there now. Can I add cellulose over the top of it? The answer is yes, and it will actually make your fiberglass start performing better. So put them together, and it really will work well.
So you don't have to take out the fiberglass.
You don't have to take the other out, okay? So that's about the dividing line on that. That's simple. Okay? 6 inches, add some. 5 inches, add some. 8 inches, really, you're in pretty good shape if it's done a good job on, okay? Now let's go to walls, okay? Walls on houses, again, pre-1960s and all.
You can't make those any thicker.
No, but the pre-1960 houses had no insulation as a rule on the walls at all. And people say, can you add insulation in walls where there's none on an older house? And the answer is yes. And it's not as difficult as you think. They actually can come from the outside or inside the house. They drill 3 holes, okay, and they could do it from inside if you're remodeling. And they actually have a little nozzle, and they blow the dry cellulose in that and fill that wall up, and it's not as expensive as you might think it is. I'd say this. You'll notice a for sure difference in the comfort of your home, okay, in the summer and winter, and it will save you on your utilities, but you'll really notice a difference on comfort if you can insulate those walls. If it already has insulation in it, it's not really feasible to make a change, have the blower door test done, and seal up those cracks where air's coming in. Follow me?
Okay, now how do we is it easy to get a hold of people who can sell the cellulose?
As a rule, you simply take your yellow pages in your phone book, look under insulation, and you'll probably find someone there who lists cellulose as one of the products that they install. Otherwise, call Energy Rated Homes or your energy office or somewhere like that, and they'll know the people, in fact, who do cellulose, okay? Now let's go to the floor. So we handle this, we handle that. One other one I'm thinking about it. Let's turn the page here so I can go again. Let's go to cathedral ceilings or go to, I know people that have this situation where they have a 2-story house, and upstairs they have what's called bonus rooms or rooms over garages or something.
Exactly, and sometimes they're not the full height.
Yeah, something like this, okay? And they wonder why it's so hot in the summer.
Why is it?
Well, it's usually because there's only like 3.5 inches of fiberglass insulation in that wall. Well, it's 150 degrees in there in the summer. It's 150 degrees in your attic and 150 over here. You're trying to keep it 75 in the middle?
No way.
No way. He's exactly right. So we have had great success by coming in and actually putting like an insulation board on the back of this they call knee walls and insulate that with cellulose. Then we got our 12 inches insulation across the top, and we can do it here, and all of a sudden you can keep upstairs comfortable for the first time ever. And I win a lot of friends when I solve that for them on their house, okay? But that's it. Cathedral ceilings, this, go ahead and turn, I'll draw cathedral ceiling. Where you have a true, honest cathedral ceiling in the house, we want to pack it totally full of cellulose. We don't want to leave any airspace at all.
So it can be pumped in?
Yeah, if you can get to it. If there's a way to get those little 1-inch nozzles here by drill. If you were re-shingling, for example, putting new shingles on, that's the time. If there's no insulation in there, you drill little 1-inch holes there through the plywood deck or whatever and pump it totally full of cellulose. And you think you're in another house again. Let's go on. These are all simple ones, really fairly simple, more than you think. But here's the one that really shocks people. Crawl space. That means that you can crawl under your house just on a wood floor.
What do you do? What can you do?
Well, let's draw a typical one in America here. What's the difference between a crawl space and a basement?
A crawl space and a basement, a basement usually has a floor in it.
Yeah, but the real difference is 5 foot in height.
Right, you could stand up maybe in the basement.
Well, all I do with the crawl space is make it a little short basement. Now, this is fairly new. This is going to shock a lot of people out there, but it's being done all over America, and the codes are being rewritten to change to allow what we've been doing for years here. Let me show you something, Ron. Where you live now, you're on a crawl space, and it's cold in the wintertime. Your floors are always cold. Everybody in this building has told me that story. Okay, here's the most important thing on a crawl space. Be sure the ground under the house is at least as high as the ground outside so you don't have water standing under your house. If you don't have a water problem under your house, here's what you do. People, you're going to love me with this one. Okay? Put plastic on the ground. You got that red marker? Let me have that red marker so I can draw it separately here, okay? Let's do that.
All right.
Okay, my helper?
Okay.
You hold that for me?
I got it.
Let's put plastic on the ground first of all. Now, moisture that's in the ground can evaporate up into the airspace that's in here, okay? Then let's spray cellulose insulation on your wall and on the wood right there. Now, here's where it's cold, isn't it? And here's where you're trying to keep it warm under your house. Notice my magic barrier there now? The cold can't get under my house. Close the vents. Close the foundation vents.
How?
Keep them closed. Sometimes they'll close, you can actually close them, or you can put a 2-inch styrofoam plug behind them. Okay? Now look, that's now a 3-foot high basement under my house.
And you've blown that cellulose on there.
That's right. Stays comfortable under my house year round. My pipes never freeze. Oh, I've heard stories about that recently, okay? And no sense in it.
Yeah.
Pipes never freeze, and that's also now a great place to put my heating and cooling system and my ductwork, because in the south where you live, it's going to stay about 65 degrees under your house year round if you do what I showed you right here, even on a cold winter night.
Wow.
Okay, and you'll see it here on the video. Look at this. This happens to be about a 6 or 7 foot high crawl space, but look here at the
same principle.
You can see it right here on the wall, and it's beautiful. It's a cold winter day when we shot this film, and we walked into the house. I called everybody in here and says, "Come feel how warm it is under this house." Isn't that neat? And that's exactly how it looks like, and that's exactly what you do. That's the way it is on insulation, and it's really very simple. Yeah, you might need to add some up here, might want to put some on the wall, treat it under your house like that, and be a happy camper.
And cellulose.
Cellulose.
All right, Doug, good advice. Now, coming up, everybody says appliances. They seem to be doing more problems as far as making that electric bill go up than we might think. We'll talk about appliances with Doug Rye just straight ahead. We're going to talk about appliances, and when you think about it, I've happened to just have these light bulbs in my hand, and Doug, we leave these on all the time. Is there a way that we can save some money?
Well, you certainly leave a lot of them on, and you use them every day and every night, don't you? The answer is yes. Ron, did you know that the average light bulb, the average 100-watt incandescent bulb, that say it uses 100 watts of electricity, okay?
Which is common.
90% of all that energy goes for heat, and only 10% goes for light.
Which is what we want it for.
Yeah, so it's a really bad deal. Plus, this heat's heating your house, or your air conditioner's got to cool it, and you see,
right.
When you understand all these detailed things we do, that's what amazes people
and
about
we
it.
got a bunch of these in our house.
Oh, how many?
Oh,
I don't know, but bunches of them, right. Well, here's what I tell people. Should you go change all your light bulbs now? No, I don't suggest that. But as they burn out, as a bulb burns out, instead of putting another little cheap one in there that's going to put off all this heat and this and that.
90% heat,
right,
yeah.
You've got all kinds to choose from now, and there's more every day. This one right here is brand spanking new, made by Panasonic. It's instant on, but it's actually a fluorescent, and it only uses a third as much electricity as a regular bulb. Lasts for years. I forget the hours on that one. Seems like it's 20,000 hours or some such thing. The recessed lights we talked about, that's what you want to change out to when those burn out. They're usually hard to reach anyway, so some of these have 100,000 hour lives on them now and put off almost no heat. It's a marvelous thing. So that's something all of you can do in your house, is start changing your light bulbs, and it's good for the environment, and it's good for your utilities and all those things.
But now the first question for some of us who have to wear those bifocals now, am I going to get less light?
No, they'll be rated on the box.
Okay,
It'll tell you that
right.
This is equivalent to a 60 or 75 or 100 watt, and there's new ones every day.
Because I don't have any longer arms.
I have that problem, believe me. Let's go to appliances. So now we're talking about like washers, dryers, refrigerators, and heating and air system, all those things, okay? Law requires that they have a sticker on them called Energy Guide. I don't know if I can spell it here, okay? Energy Guide, and it'll be a yellow sticker. I know all of you have seen those out there. You've seen them, but hardly anybody knows what they mean. So if you're going to go buy a new washing machine, a new dryer, a new refrigerator, a new water heater, any of these things, it's going to have this on there. And I want to show you hurriedly what this means. It's there for a reason. Just because it has a sticker doesn't mean a thing. Law requires that. It may be the worst one made, energy-wise.
They're just getting there at the standard.
This is going to tell you, but here's what you're going to see. Now watch this. This is so simple. It's going to have a real big number on it, like $156. Well, you'll read on there, and it'll say, this particular, let's say it's a water heater, okay? This particular water heater will use $156 worth of energy a year for a typical family. What you want to look at, Ron, is the little bitty print on each side of it.
Okay.
Now, you can't see that, can
right.
you? But I'm writing it in here, okay? What do you read there, Ron? That's about how small it is.
I have my glasses. I can't see it.
Okay. And that's why, I don't know why they do it this way, but what it says is this. You come over here and read, and it'll say, the unit with the least energy usage is $75.
Right.
So how does your rate?
Not too
well,
good.
not too good, on that. Over here it'll say the unit with the highest energy usage, $160.
So you almost got
You
the
bought
one,
nearly
yeah.
the worst one energy-wise,
Wow.
see? And people don't know how to look at these two little figures. If you just read that, it'll tell you. So if you're going to have to change out a water heater, a washer, a dryer, a refrigerator, any of those things, read the sticker and save yourself a fortune on your new appliances.
Good advice. Now, we've talked about appliances, but still something that we all know sits out there, heating and air conditioning.
That's next.
Can cost a lot of money.
We're talking big money on this one, folks.
Some good advice?
You bet.
Stay tuned. We'll talk about heating and air. Let's talk about heating and air conditioning and efficiency. And Doug, I got to slip this in first of all. When I think about a heating and air, I think about having to replace a heating and air unit.
Nobody likes that.
Oh, any
Costly.
suggestions?
Well, look what we've done here, Ron.
Okay.
What we've done is take your house and do some simple things to it. None of this has been science fiction. It's really been nothing magical about this.
I think I know, even I get this when light bulbs coming on.
Okay.
You've actually made the house more energy efficient.
So now you got to buy a new unit, but instead of buying a 4-ton air conditioning system, maybe you now buy a 3 or 2-ton. See, so it's not as bad as it was. Nobody wants to have to buy a new air conditioning or heating system for the house. I mean, but it happens.
Yeah,
it simply happens, okay?
Yeah.
So let's make our house energy efficient, buy the smallest heating and cooling system we can because it costs less and performs better, okay? Now let's make some good decisions, and I call them business decisions. What you might very well do is spend a little and save a fortune on your house. Let's talk about this, okay? Most people get gas furnaces in their house if gas is available for heating systems. That's terrible. The least allowable federal law, y'all, is 78%, or I'm going to round it off to 80, and that's what most people are getting for heating systems in their house. I think that's terrible.
Like the furnace you're talking
Yeah,
about? Gas
80%
furnace?
energy efficient. That means, Ron, that 20% of all the gas goes right up the gas flue, right to the birds.
Whoa.
Look how many houses in America are sending 20 or 30% of the gas coming out of the line right to the atmosphere and to the birds. It's really bad. It's like, listen, it's like me filling your car up with gasoline, and I put 4 gallons in the tank and 1 on the ground.
Not a good thing.
4 in the tank, 1 on the ground. That's terrible, okay? And that's what many folks in America are doing. And one reason is because you just didn't know it till now. Okay, you can get a gas furnace, though, it's 95% energy efficient or whatever, and it's safer. You don't have the, you have self-containment here so that carbon monoxide can't get in your house and those kind of things, okay? But let's go on about energy efficiency. Heat pump. And people say, heat pumps, well, I've heard stories about heat pumps being cold and all. But listen, a heat pump, an air-to-air heat pump is from 250 to about 350% energy efficient, Ron.
Now, wait a minute.
Super duper.
95?
Yeah, 3 times more energy efficient than a gas furnace. That shocks people when they learn this, okay? But
hard to
listen,
absorb sometimes,
but gas is cheaper in most places in the country than electricity is.
Okay.
And in fact, in the South where you live, it is about 3 times the cost of gas. So the truth is, if your house is fairly energy efficient, the heat pump will perform as good as, or actually better than, okay, that gas furnace will. So it won't cost you any more dollars to do it, and it's safer, and et cetera, okay? Geothermal systems, I know you've heard of those.
I heard the name, but I don't quite understand.
Like a water furnace geothermal system where you put a pipe in the ground so that your unit never knows if it's hot or cold outside. If you make your house energy efficient, make your ductwork energy efficient, like we've already taught, okay? Yeah. You can put an air-to-air heat pump on there, or you can put a geothermal on there that operates at about 450% energy efficient with no outdoor equipment. It thinks it's 50 degrees, 55 or 60 degrees every day of its life. Why? Because it's operating off the ground temperature.
I was going to say, now we're watching this at home. Help me get
through
this.
See the pipe going in the ground here?
Okay.
The ground doesn't know there's snow on the ground when you get 5 foot deep.
Right.
And it doesn't know the sun is shining when you get 5 foot deep. It's the same temperature year round. Well water is always the same temperature, right? You
Very
notice
good
that?
example,
Where
right.
you grew up, you had lots of wells, and the well water is 57 degrees where you live.
So the secret is it's down
You get
in
down
the
there,
ground.
and it's 57 degrees every day of your life. Okay, and that's what geothermal does for you now. So I can give you, if you use geothermal when you're changing out to a new system, I'll give you heating cheaper with geothermal than you can get it with any other heating appliance made in the world today. So let's go to cooling now. SEER, Seasonal Energy Efficient Rating. Most people all across America are getting SEER 10s. I'll let you guess at this.
That's not good.
What's the least allowable federal law? What would you guess?
You know, I've had a little help because I've been around you for a while, but I'm going to bet that's the one.
10. You
Yeah.
used to draw Gusty on TV.
Yeah,
You told me I
little
used to do a little
character on
Gusty
a
there.
TV
Okay.
station.
Yeah. But a SER 10. Okay. The least allowable federal law. Ron, most people buy the least allowable federal law for heating and cooling systems just because they shop for price. That's all they can get in their mind. What's the cheapest I can buy? Well, look. Every time they get an electric bill, they pay a bunch over here because they thought they was making a good...
Through the roof, yeah.
You see how it works? Go at least to 12 on your cooling, which is 20% more energy efficient than that, and only cost you $300 or $400 more on the unit, and save 20% on your cooling.
Because what they're forgetting is this is like one time they're saving the $300. But that...
costing them one time, but saving them every month.
Right. I mean, they're paying that one time to get the unit.
You pay your electric bill. electric bill every 30 days, don't you?
Right.
Same as a house payment. So it's just as important, you see,
Either
okay?
20 years, difference between
got
a
it.
10 and a 12. Yeah.
I say take a good look and see if it's a business investment to go to the geothermal unit. Guess what the SEER is, geothermal?
You got to tell me.
It doesn't have an SEER. What did S stand for? Remember seasonal?
Okay.
Geothermal doesn't have a seasonal.
It's in the ground.
Right, it's the same all the time. Where'd you rather try to make homemade ice cream? In the ground, in a cave? Or sitting out by your air conditioner on a hot summer day turning the crank?
Put me in the cave.
You understand?
Gotcha.
It's that simple, Ron.
Okay.
These things I teach are so simple when you understand the deals. You say, well, why do they even make the other kind?
This isn't grade day today, is it? I'm a little slow. Okay.
You're doing good. You're doing good, okay? Geothermal has EER, which is 16 on most systems. And if you convert that to SER, it gets to about 20. Or in other words, I'll give you cooling with geothermal for half of that unit most people are getting.
Big jump.
How would you like for the power company to come to you this summer and say, Ron, you're such a nice guy, we're going to give you cooling for half cost?
I'd love it.
You'd love that, is that right? That's what this geothermal does. And look here, no outdoor equipment. By the way, I know where you live now, and there are several of these geothermal units in your neighborhood. You may or may not have known that, but there are. Some of them are there because they're beautiful homes, and the homeowner said, we don't want any outdoor equipment if we don't have to have it. Blowing on them, all the noise and racket, etc. No outdoor equipment means all the heat that you typically been blowing to the birds outside in the summer, right?
Oh, I love hitting those birds, yeah.
Take all that heat and put it in your water tank for practically free hot water for your house. See what I'm saying?
Good idea.
So you've made your house more energy efficient. Now you need less tonnage for cooling. Let's use a unit now and see if it's a business decision. What if you spend more on the front end, but it saves you a whole bunch every month of your life? Heating less than gas, cooling at half cost, okay, and about on your house about 60 to 70% of your hot water absolutely free on your house. I say it's really that simple, and that's what we've done for you today.
Now, Doug, we've pretty well covered heating and air. Anything else to wrap up on?
Well, yeah, one thing on your heating and air system, change the filters regularly.
Gotcha.
Okay, and if they're dirty, that's a good sign. They may surprise people. Have your unit checked periodically, okay? See it's running good and so on like that. And one other thing, if you turn page for me, attic ventilation I'm asked about regularly, and my answer and what I'm going to tell you may surprise you here. We have found houses recently with major mildew problems caused by too many power ventilators on the roof. Okay?
We call them wind turbines.
Well, some of them are wind turbines like that, ugly as sin, I think. Okay, and we got them here with fans, power ventilators. Here's the simple thing, watch. Sometimes houses have 2 or 3 or 4 of these. They're sucking so much air out, but there's nowhere to get it in there, so it's actually sucking it right out of the house.
Wow.
See that? So a simple thing to remember is this: as you get your insulation in, like we've taught them today, your cellulose here, the temperature up here doesn't matter much anymore. A little bit of relief air is all you need. And be sure of this: be sure there's more relief air at the bottom down here or in your gable vents, okay, than these fans are sucking out, or it's going to suck it right out of your house and cause you problems.
Some good advice. And of course, I tell you what, we've been visiting with residential energy architect Doug Rye. We have covered it, I hope, from A to Z.
I hope to.
Tape number 2, we're looking for number 3.
Maybe a house on the moon or something. I don't know. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.